با ما امشب هم خوش آمدین. مهمان امشب برنامه ما آقای داگلاس کی، رئیس برنامه‌های انکشافی ملل متحد در افغانستان. در گفتگوی امشب هم روی موارد مختلف از آدرس UNDP یا برنامه انکشاف ملل متحد در افغانستان بحث خواهد کردیم. روی اولویت‌های نهاد برای افغانستان و همچنان روی پروژه‌های مقطعی و پروژه‌های درازمدت و پروژه‌های پایدار برای افغانستان. Welcome, Mr. Douglas, to this interview.
Thank you.
Let me start from here. How is your partnership with National Unity Government?
Oh, it's very strong. The way UNDP works is entirely on the basis of partnership. Partnership with the government, which is our main counterpart. We are here at the invitation and with the support of the government. It is the government that decides the priorities and asks us to help them meet those priorities. And I think mine just having arrived quite recently, I think it's a very good opportunity to open up a new chapter. I look forward, and I'm currently very actively meeting very senior level representatives of the government of Afghanistan to listen to them, to hear about their needs and their priorities, to ensure that UNDP's support to Afghanistan is in line with those priorities.
As you mentioned that you recently came to Afghanistan, especially in Kabul. Let me have your vision. How do you find this partnership between the UNDP and the government of Afghanistan? How do you find?
Well, I think the way UNDP works, we have country offices in 168 countries throughout the world. We are what we would call a development network. We don't have much financing of our own, but what we do have is experience, lessons learned, and best practices of what has worked in development in many other parts of the world. What our job here in Afghanistan, as in many other countries, is to ensure that those ideas and those best practices and those experiences are brought to Afghanistan and shown to the government of Afghanistan so that these lessons can be used to support the priorities of the government here. So it is entirely about that one word that you used. It's about partnership. We bring something that we hope can be of use to the government of Afghanistan, and the government hopefully benefits from the experiences, the technical support that we can bring to this country.
Let me know about the UNDP priorities for Afghanistan as well. As you mentioned before, that you listen for the government of Afghanistan regarding their essential and priorities. What are the UNDP priorities for Afghanistan?
Well, we're currently we have a number of projects that have been in place for a certain number of years. Some are newer, some are more recent, some are older. But right now we're at a very important point in time in view of the President's priorities for the countries that he has set very clearly. It's a very important time for UNDP itself to reevaluate how have we been implementing these projects, how can we sometimes adjust and ensure that they are fully in line with what this country wants and needs from us. So based on that evaluation and that process of adjustment, we already see several areas that will be priorities for us moving forward. Those will be first and foremost in the rule of law area. Where there is no security, development is very difficult to bring about. So again, one of our top priorities is supporting the government in establishing what we call rule of law, where the individual people can feel safe and secure with very supportive police in their communities that can help bring about security to their lives so that they can experience the process of development. Governance, that's another broad key area, supporting the national government here, as well as supporting the provincial governments in providing the policies and supporting the people based on experiences that have happened in other parts of the world. So, rule of law is one, governance is another one. Another top priority for us, gender, women's empowerment. What we have found throughout the world is that when women are discriminated against, when women are not able to enjoy full rights, equal rights that men have, then a huge part of one country's population will not have a chance to contribute to economic growth and development. So another priority here is to help the government, help the authorities, and help the people of Afghanistan to ensure that women enjoy equal and full rights.
UNDP is a supporter of development. Which kind of development and how?
Well, I always say, if I was in a room of 10 people and I asked, what is development? I think I would get 10 answers. So in my 22 years in the system, thinking about this question, I bring it down to one word: choices. Development is about choices, giving people more choices in how they live their lives, how they can fulfill the potential, the natural born human right to be everything that you can be. When people don't have choices, they cannot fulfill that potential, what they were put on this earth to do. That's what development is about. And in all of our programs that I mentioned earlier, all 6 major programs, it's about increasing the range of choices that people have to realize their potential.
One of the problems with the UNDP in Afghanistan is a problem of security and administrative cost of UNDP in Afghanistan. Sometimes here is some report that the security and administrative cost of the UNDP is more than some project which they are implementing in Afghanistan in here. Do you accept this one?
I don't think that's an accurate or well-informed perspective, to be very honest. Globally, what we call the overhead, what money comes into our projects and what we must take to maintain our staffing costs, all the security requirements that we need, are much lower than what any other bilateral government could provide here. But of course, in a situation like Afghanistan, one clear requirement which adds additional costs is there, and you know what it is. It's security. In many other countries, Tanzania, we don't need those security costs. Armored vehicles cost more. Armed guards cost more. So all these things do add up to create a little bit, well, significantly more cost than we would like to use.
In some cases, this cost is much more from the project that you will implement in here. Do you accept this one?
Well, again, for us to implement any project, we have to have the staff to implement those projects. We have to have the facilities. And all of those add up. Again, but what I want to emphasize is, you were saying, are these higher than other aid providers? No, it's actually one of the lowest and most efficient. And in fact, here in Afghanistan, we have actually reduced the standard level of cost that we usually have in other countries. It's usually 8% of our operating costs goes to covering our staffing and facilities and all that. Here, it's 4%. 4%. So we're actually going much further than we normally are to be careful with how much we spend on ourselves.
Mr. Douglas, let me have your vision regarding the development process in Afghanistan. Don't you think it's a correct time for UNDP and other donors to finance the sustainable project for Afghanistan?
Well, I think you used a very important word, sustainable. And that I could not agree more, that as we move forward in the partnership between the government of Afghanistan and UNDP, it's all about how we can achieve this sustainability, which is kind of the gold standard. It's the ultimate objective in everything that we do worldwide. And what that means is that it's not that we are here and providing support year after year after year on the same areas of need, one year after the other after the next. It means that our role is really just, how shall I explain it? It's like getting the ball to start rolling on its own. That's what we can do with some of the financing that we can mobilize from the donors, through the technical knowledge that we can bring on what has worked in development before. But then, soon, and I talked about balance earlier, if all the pieces are in place, the people want it and need it, the government can provide the leadership and the framework and the policies on how people can improve their lives, then that ball should roll entirely by itself, and UNDP should no longer be in the picture.
So you mean that's the correct time for a sustainable project in Afghanistan?
That's the way it's supposed to work.
Thank you very much for coming to this.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. و سپاسگزارم از شما که این گفتگو رو دنبال کردین. تا دیدار و فرصت دیگر، خدا نگهدار.